Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Soaring Through Adversity podcast. I'm Renee Breazeale, co founder and CEO of our foundation, The Victory Advantage, and your host. Each week, we amplify the often unheard voices of individuals with IDD and physical disabilities, voices filled with resilience, wisdom, and unstoppable strength. Through raw, real conversations, you'll hear how they rise above challenges, defy expectation, and discover purpose. These are the stories of people living victoriously beyond limitations. If you're ready to be inspired, to shift your perspective, and to champion true inclusion, you're in the right place, because this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement to celebrate the unstoppable strength of the human spirit. Please stay with us as we redefine what's possible, one story at a time. Today's episode, Where Everyone Belongs, the Power of Special Olympics. I have two wonderful ladies with me today. My first guest is Amanda Kotter. She is the local program coordinator for the Special Olympics Union County here in North Carolina, where her leadership has helped grow the local program from just a few offerings to 11 competitive sports. Her passion for inclusive sports is evident in her dedication to building strong partnerships with schools, colleges, law enforcement, and the broader community. Amanda is a certified bocce coach and official and has proudly served as an international technical official at both national and world level competitions, including the 2023 Special Olympics World Games in Berlin. That event marked a personal highlight as she roomed with a fellow advocate, Nicole Thompson, and witnessed two athletes from Union County represent Team USA at the Caribbean Bocce Invitational. And recently she was recruited to sit on the Bocce Sports Resource Team for North America. Known for her hands-on commitment, Amanda also regularly recruits and trains volunteers, hosts local tournaments, and continues to dream big. She hopes to one day compete as a unified partner. For Amanda, Special Olympics is not just about sports, it's about confidence, connection, and creating a world where everyone belongs. She is deeply grateful for the chance to be a part of that mission and continues to advocate for inclusion with joy, passion, and purpose. Thank you for joining me today.
Yes. Thank you
Yes.
for having me.
You're smiling. Are you surprised when I read that bio?
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yes.
terrific. It's terrific. It's yours. It's you.
I know it feels a little like you're talking about somebody else, but
No,
yeah.
girlfriend, it's you, and I can't wait to get started. So, just in case our listeners don't know about Special Olympics, can you give us like a description of what it is?
Yeah, so I mean, Special Olympics started, I think it was 1968, and that was by Eunice Kennedy Shriver. Um, and she started this after her watching her sister not have opportunities to participate in everyday activities. So one summer, she decided to host a camp in her backyard and invite individuals with intellectual disabilities to come and play sports. And that kind of was the beginning of her idea that she can show the world, or these athletes have the ability to show the world their abilities through sports. Um, so it's was born then, and it's now grown into a global initiative. But ideally, the goal is to provide year-round sports to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities at no cost to them or their families, help promote confidence for them, give them the opportunity to be part of sports where those opportunities may not have been given before. And then there's a whole other side to it as well, which is a health initiative. As Special Olympics is one of the largest health organizations for individuals with intellectual disabilities.
So, describe when you talk about a health organization, what does that mean?
Yeah, so, you know, for individuals with disabilities, they may have a difficult time communicating what their needs are, right? So,
Yeah.
whereas you and I, if we've got, pain in our heart, we can go to the doctor and explain something's going on with my heart, the breathing is different, and then they know to kind of dive deep into the symptoms that we're explaining. Whereas sometimes these individuals, they don't have it. So how do doctors find cues to ensure that these individuals are getting the health care that they need?
Okay, so that reminds me of my husband's brother, Davy, who had Downs, and he broke his arm, and Ray said it was just kind of like from his elbow was just hanging straight down, and he just looked at it and said, ow,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have the communication skills to tell them, what he thought he had done or anything like that, or when he
Mm-hmm.
was sick, how to tell them he was hurting until his fever was really high and that kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, from a healthcare standpoint for our doctors and systems to learn more about how to treat individuals with disabilities. In Special Olympics, I mean, they're working with health organizations from the United Nations down to try to implement that. So it really is a a global initiative, Special Olympics is, to just make the world a fair place.
Well, you mentioned that the person that started Special Olympics had a child that didn't get the opportunities to do the sports. What inspired you to get involved with Special Olympics?
I think for me, it started in childhood. I went to a very small school, um, so small that our first and second grade classrooms were in the same room. I don't know how the teacher pulled it off. We had different chalkboards, but one of the girls in second grade, when I was in first, I noticed she was in a wheelchair, and the wheelchair was black with like these pink wheels. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I wanted to be her friend. So we quickly became friends, right? And then we spent the days at recess, me pushing her around. I just thought she was this most amazing and interesting person, and if she was, right? And then I think as we left the small elementary school and went into middle school, that's where our worlds really started to separate. She was wasn't even in the same school as me, completely different building, where it was like we were segregated as students.
So
Um,
she was excluded.
she was excluded. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I would still go with her on Wednesdays to University of Michigan, where she would do her occupational and physical therapy. Then I'd stay the night at her house, and I would ride her school bus to school in the morning. And it was definitely an interesting experience in middle school to be dropped off by her school bus and then watch my peers, right? The
Mhm.
students that I went to school with make comments about the bus that I was getting off of. And I remember just feeling very angry about the way that they spoke about my friend, the way they spoke to me. Did I know at the time that it was building me up to be a lifelong advocate? No, I was just a kid that didn't understand why this was happening. From there, it just kind of organically happened. I went to college and learned about a program called therapeutic recreation, which fit very much into what I, enjoyed doing. I started volunteering with an organization called the Michigan Disability Sports Alliance. That was for individuals with physical
Mhm.
disabilities. And that's where I found bocce.
Yeah.
So that's 22, 23 years ago now. And I mean, you could really say the rest is history. But it was just kind of the beginning of it. When I moved to North Carolina, I couldn't find the Paralympic level organizations that I was
Mhm.
familiar with working with, and that's when I found Special Olympics. There was a bocce coach that they were looking for, and I went to the meeting to get more information.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, as I was signed up to be the bocce coach, I mean,
They sucked you in. They
I
sucked you in.
yeah, come learn more. Okay, so you're in. Oh, great. We call it voluntold in our world,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm also going to be interviewing a lady by the name of Nicole Thompson. So, why don't I go ahead and tell you a little about Nicole because they have a lot in common and are team
hmm
members, builders, the whole nine yards. Nicole Thompson resides in the Cayman Islands. She has been a bocce coach in the Special Olympics Cayman Islands program for over 20 years. She has attended the World Summer Games with contingents as head bocce coach in Dublin 2003, Athens 2011, and Los Angeles 2017, as well as competitions in the Caribbean, USA, and Latin America. She has completed training courses in coaching officiating, and unified competition. She has also transferred that knowledge by conducting several training courses for volunteers in the Special Olympics Cayman Islands and the wider Caribbean region. She has served as the coordinator of all aspects of Special Olympics Cayman Islands Natural Bocce program. She has been instrumental in encouraging all athletes seasonal training and exposure to bocce. Nicole enjoyed her experience as a technical official at the World Games 2019 in Abu Dhabi, the U.S. Games 2022 in Orlando, and the World Games 2023 in Berlin. She also brought the Regional Caribbean Invitational Bocce Tournament to the Cayman Islands and served on the Games organizing committees as the competition manager. Wow, Nicole. No wonder you and Amanda are a team. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. So let me ask you, you've been involved in the Special Olympics Cayman Islands for over 2 decades. What drew you to the bocce program and to working with individuals with intellectual disabilities?
Well, I mean, I listened to Amanda tell her story, and unfortunately for me, I can't pinpoint an exact moment that caused that desire in me. But I know before I came to the Cayman Islands, it was something I really wanted to volunteer with in Trinidad. But Trinidad, you would appreciate, is a bit bigger than the Cayman Islands. And it just wasn't convenient in terms of actually having the time and the opportunity to get involved in the way I wanted to. When I came to the Cayman Islands, though, training was like next door to where I would, because I came here originally as a high school teacher, and the training was like 5 minutes away. And I just turned up one day. They wanted volunteers, and they had actually had a competition prior, and I just was in the audience looking at them, looking at the athletes, and being really impressed with what they can do. And I think that's the biggest joy we get from it, because often we're dealing with athletes who are being told all the things they can't do just by nature. They have shortcomings, whether it's intellectual, whether it's physical, and then having an opportunity to work with them where we can actually have them see how they can succeed, get that pleasure in it. So I just stepped up one day and volunteered, and they needed volunteers in bocce, and I said, okay. I had no idea at the time what bocce was. It's always that funny story. And I said, okay, here I am, just put me to work. And I think it would have been 2 years after that, I turned up at an AGM meeting, and the then coach was like, okay, Nicole, I'm stepping down. It's all yours now. And I'm like, excuse me? And I became the head coach. And as they say, it's history now, because I've been in that role for many years. I do have other coaches who work with me. And again, you continue to bring persons in. And everyone who's involved with Special Olympics in Cayman, we have persons who have been here for 30. Yes, Amanda, you were right. It's 1968. But persons who have been there since the inception of the program in Cayman, which I think was around the early 90s, and you're always going to be involved. I loved when Amanda said voluntold, because that's how it operates here as well. They pull you in, and that's it. You're there. Mm-hmm. It's now your role. You're there for life. You can never step out of it. And most times we don't want to, because the joy in just seeing our athletes perform, and whether they medal or not, just seeing them give their all is such a tremendous experience for anybody who gets involved in Special Olympics.
Okay, let's take a break and hear a message from our sponsor.
The Soaring Through Adversity podcast is presented by Victory in Time. Victory in Time's mission is to help executives, leaders, and business owners excel in their faith, lives, and work. Through speaking engagements, one-on-one mentoring, and our mastermind groups, known as Victory Circles, Victory in Time wants to help you become the best leader you can be. Find out more at victoryintime.com. Also, don't forget to pick up your copy of the Soaring Through Adversity book, Life Lessons to Lead Triumph and Rise Above. All net proceeds from sales of the Soaring Through Adversity book benefit Victory Advantage.
Well, it is so interesting to me that I keep hearing the word volunteer and voluntold. And when I read these bios, these are full-time positions. This is not something you guys do in your spare time, but yet you still do it as volunteers. And I just think that the listeners, when they realize that as well, that you guys don't earn anything for this and you still have such a strong heart and you're so committed to this organization, tells us a lot about who you are, but it also tells us about just how strong the Special Olympics is and how big the organization is. You know, when I look at these places that you have been to, when you served as the technical official, Nicole, in the World Games in Abu Dhabi, how did that experience? I mean, how was that for you?
It was awesome. I had done many years as a coach, and I said, okay, let me try looking at it from the other side. And it really is the other side, as Amanda can tell you. Your perception really changes because and I think having served as a coach, you kind of empathize with the coaches because you know how they feel when they're looking at their athletes play. You've hit the nail on the head to some extent because you're traveling, you're seeing different places, the interaction with different athletes from around the world. Cayman Islands is very small, right?
Yeah.
And one of the challenges is that our athletes, the very good ones, tend to play each other all the time. In North Carolina and in the US, you have a lot more opportunity to move around. You don't have to cross waters as we do in Cayman. If we want to play somewhere else, we have to take a plane to get to Jamaica or to Trinidad, so we don't get that varied experience. But as a coach, taking athletes out to World Games and have them compete on the international stage, have them also see so many other persons like them. Because sometimes as well, there's the feeling that we're so isolated and it's only us. But going out and seeing, for example, other athletes who have Down syndrome, other athletes who have some of the same challenges, even that exposure is a joy for us in seeing them interact. So the athletes are going out there and they're making friends and they're interacting with people from all around the world. And sometimes they don't speak the same language, but they're still able to communicate. They're still able to trade pins, which is what it's all about. So, I mean, visiting Abu Dhabi, being there as an official was tremendous. Continuing that into USA Games. And then back when Amanda and I were in Berlin, it's awesome experience interacting with the coaches from around the world. As you've indicated, it's an international event. Every single country, I think, has uh, a Special Olympics program.
I had no idea it was that big. You know, when you think of Special Olympics, you know, I thought of it as North Carolina, and this has totally opened my eyes. And I also probably thought like we had games here, and they were at Sun Valley High School. That was something that the school put on. I mean, this is just. I'm hoping it's opening the listeners' eyes as much as it has mine. Amanda, I want to come back to you and ask you to share a story of an athlete whose growth or transformation just really resonates with you, how it touched your heart. Is there one in particular that you can think of?
It's hard to even think about some of the amazing stories without having tears in my eyes. I think in this instance, even just talking about Jared and Mary, though, and their success. Mary, who's lived here her entire life, right? She is in a group home, stays with the same ladies, has found this wonderful place to work at UDI during the day, has always had the opportunity to play bocce with Special Olympics locally, but she's never left the country. She's never been on an airplane. And she's in her mid 50s, I believe.
She is.
Mm-hmm. But, when she found out about this experience and that she had been selected, she took it with such grace. Um, she really stood out, led, accepted the praise, which is very hard to do, I think, for
Yeah,
anyone
it is.
when you're in the light. Um, she was so brave. She got in an airplane. We had to talk a little bit through that because, as you know, when you get on a plane, people are like putting on the life jackets and showing the air things. And I think for Mary, I looked over and her eyes were so bright, like so big. Is this something we're going to have to do? And, I had to
Yes,
explain this is
yes.
just in case of an emergency. But she didn't even say anything. It wasn't until I looked at her and asked what's going on, you know? So she did a lot of these things that were just so outside of her comfort zone and what she was used to, in the spirit of the sport and to compete.
And for
So,
them to be included on an airplane,
mhm,
just like it was a normal day, that just warmed my heart so
mhm,
much. And I have heard that Mary is on the shy side. So for her to be willing to step out in that manner, I can imagine that touched your heart in
mhm.
such a special way. What are the misconceptions people might have about athletes with disabilities?
In my experience, I often feel that athletes don't get enough credit for what they are able to do.
Yes.
Right? So upon all of the stigmas as well, but it's really just it's not giving the individual enough credit to do what they can, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, you've got individuals with Down syndrome who are doing Ironman,
Yes.
right? And competing the whole thing. I can't run 100 yards without feeling like I need to sit down and drink a gallon of water,
Yes.
right? So there is capabilities there, and their determination is just it's wild. It's not something Special Olympics isn't something you come into and you don't it's you're not babying, right?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
you're saying I'm not here doing this for you. I'm here doing this with you. Like I believe in you. Go out there and do your best, and
Yes.
I'll cheer for you, right? So I think there is this sometimes a misconception of the difference between standing by and standing with,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So, what would you add to that, Nicole?
I think that sometimes there's the impression that the athlete is less than and doesn't have a voice. And I think one of the main things with Special Olympics now is really to recognize that athlete voice,
Mhm,
um, allow them their choices. So, I mean, even as Amanda and I are coaches of bocce, we can't force every single child to choose bocce, or every single athlete, I should say, to choose bocce. Athletes have choices. They have choices in what sport they want to play. They have choices in when they want to train and when they don't want to train. So I think Special Olympics gives them a voice and recognizes their value. So
mhm,
it may have been in the past that it was almost like they didn't exist. I mean, going back many years ago, and I think that's where it came out from as well in terms of Mrs. Shriver and her sister. It's that there's everything that they can't do, so we keep them in the background. You know, we don't acknowledge them, but Special Olympics has actually brought them to the fore, and you're recognizing more of what they can do, and they can speak up for themselves,
mhm,
and they have a voice. You know, they can't say, "I don't want to do this. I want to play this sport, or I don't want to do this." And therefore, I think that's one of the strongest things for me, that it really empowers persons with intellectual disabilities and really gives them a say and a voice in what happens to them.
Oh, that is absolutely beautiful.
I think too, when we're in a Special Olympics setting, it is it is normal, right? It's just like any setting. And the difference in the Special Olympics setting, we call it our world. Like welcome to our world is the thing, right? There's just so much support and kindness. I don't know how to put it into words. It's really something you experience, but it's just love. It's genuine, it's authentic. Everyone's intentions are kind and good, right? It's like what humanity is. If you had to visualize what you wanted humanity to be, it would be this.
I go and volunteer at a disability retreat.
Mhm,
And when I got there, I'm standing and I'm looking at a room full of people that are the same. You know, it doesn't matter if you're verbal or you're nonverbal, you're in a wheelchair, you're standing there. You know, we had a person that lost their leg in a war,
mhm,
and but everybody was equal.
mhm,
And I said to myself, I think this is what a little slice of heaven is going to be like,
mhm,
because everybody was included in a room full of love and there
mhm,
was no differences seen in anybody. That was 6 years ago. And the first time I went, I was in a wheelchair and people were talking to me. And I was telling Amanda that that's when I realized God left me with a voice when I couldn't walk, to tell people how to treat people with disabilities, you know, to make them feel welcome and include them, and to speak and say hello. They may not be able to speak back, but they've got gifts just the same, and you guys see that every day
mhm.
when you're in the arena. Are there any new innovations or programs that are being developed, like maybe some new games or anything like that?
Oh, I think pickleball is going to soon be
Oh,
one of the Olympic Games.
that's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yep, we're going to get that as well.
Yeah.
But I think one of the main moves that's happening, and I may need to speak to Amanda about this after I actually made a note of this, looking at more unified sport. So again, even as you said, not looking at the division between who is a special athlete and who's not, but actually having more unified games, which is more athletes and non-intellectually disabled persons playing together, forming a team. So like right now we do unified bocce, we do unified basketball, unified football, and those are the Caribbean ones. I'm sure there are other North American and World Games events that are unified swimming. So the idea is that you're not drawing that line between who is a special athlete and who is not, but everybody's working together on the team. And one of the biggest advantages of that is actually the socialization. So as you said, just that interaction where everybody has value. So it's not like, okay, the special athlete is on the side. Everybody has to participate in order for this team to do well. So that builds both the non-athlete and the athlete, together realizing that we are all valued and we are all important in this particular event. So I think that's definitely one of the areas that's being encouraged as much as possible. We are not doing as much of that in Cayman as I would like. And I really need to try to check with Amanda and see what's going on at her end. But it's definitely the focus of Special Olympics International.
Because and that's what's on your bucket list, right?
Yeah, I would love to be a unified partner.
So you're adding to your bio already.
Yeah.
And as a volunteer,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you ladies love being a part of the Special Olympics. That is
Yeah.
such a blessing for so many people.
Yeah.
Well, I got one final question. How can people get connected with Special Olympics?
There's many ways, right? I mean, having conversations with people in your community is always a great start. Other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, Special Olympics website.
What is that? Tell
It's,
your listeners
I
what
think
that
it's
is.
specialolympics.org is the international one. Is that correct? And then from
Yeah.
there, you can filter down by country, you can filter down by state, and then even to the county or the specific region. And I just encourage anyone to go to the website and explore, because Special Olympics, there's so many components. And as Nicole said, the Unified Champions, the Unified Partner and Unified Champion School initiatives are incredible. That is going to change the game.
Well, I tell you what, ladies, I'd love to have you back on the podcast as that develops so we can talk more about it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Take care.
Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Soaring Through Adversity podcast. Be sure to listen and subscribe on our YouTube channel, on the Victory Advantage website, or wherever you get your podcast. New episodes drop on the first of every month. Don't miss a moment of these inspiring stories. To learn more about our foundation, the Victory Advantage, visit thevictoryadvantage.org. Again, that is victoryadvantage.org. There, you'll find ways to get involved, donate, or apply for grants supporting individuals with IDD and physical disabilities who live in the Union County, North Carolina, and the greater Charlotte metro area. We're currently accepting grant applications. Just head to the grant tab on our website to apply. Thank you again for being so supportive. We couldn't do it without you. And always remember, faith first, not last, will lead to living victoriously beyond limitations. And until next time, keep soaring.